Last time, I showed you the only beginner build you'll ever need in Albion Online. And today, I took that same cheap 4.1 set into the Outlands to prove exactly what it can do in real situations. I recorded everything, the wins, the losses, and all of the loot. And by the end, I walked away with over 4 million silver. And here's why this video matters for you. You'll see exactly how a beginner-friendly build performs in real Black Zone situations. In this video, you'll learn how to navigate the Outlands, handle PvE, survive PvP, and actually profit as I talk you through the decisions I make throughout my roam. So if you've ever been nervous about the Black Zone or thought you needed expensive gear to make progress, this video will prove that even a basic set can carry you to big profits. Let's jump into the adventure, and I'll show you exactly what happened. Oh, and while you're watching, let me know in the comments. Would you take the same build into the Outlands? And which weapon would you pick? I took a regular bow this time, and while there are definitely stronger options in the bow category alone, I had a lot of fun with it. Alright, so we start our journey with a 4.1 set. This time I have Resi Pots with me, and I have an Avalonian beef stew. And after making sure my inventory is empty, I only have my set, I take the safe portal. Now when you take the safe portal, you land somewhere random close to the portal city you used it from, somewhere in the Outlands, and this time I landed here. What I always do first is make sure to check where I am exactly. So after doing that, after making sure, because here's the thing, right? I'm in a 4.1 set, so depending on my strength and depending on my build and the content I want to do, I want to make sure I'm in a zone where the mobs aren't too hard. Going to a tier 8 zone, quality 6, would be impossible. Well, it would be possible, but it would be very difficult. And also, those types of zones are heavily set by gankers, just like this one, as you can see. Like someone just died on the map, which tells me I don't want to go southwest any longer. You can also see there is 6 to 15 players, and although I wanted to go southwest from here, I go northwest instead. Now the safer thing would be to go back and go the other route. So this is a very risky play. I will say that from the start. This is a risky play because there could be up to 14 gankers right now, and you know, they could be spread out around the zone. And also the way I'm heading right now, which is northwest, is the tunnel. You know, if you already know there are gankers, taking the tunnel is not the smartest idea, because once you enter it, you'll be pretty hard locked in where you can move to, and they can easily spread out and secure the kill on you if they have people inside. Now, once I go inside, lucky for me, I see there is only 0 to 5 people here. And although there could be potentially 0 players or up to 4, I take one of the side paths, because if there are gankers, they'll most likely sit in the middle. So going from the side is the safer option. Once I'm outside, I check the level of my bow, which is at 36, and that's because I want to track how many levels I will get throughout today's session. After that, I had to one of the solo encampments in this zone, and I swapped to PvE skills, because now I'm going to focus on doing PvE. Previously in the tunnel, what I did is I swapped to mobility abilities, so that if I get ganked, I have the highest odds of escaping. So now that I'm going to focus on PvE, it's better to just clear the mobs as quick as possible. One important thing is to keep your mount up, just in case you get ganked and you have the possibility to mount up before they are able to hit you with one of their abilities. Now at this point, I just need a couple more mobs to finish the camp and unlock the chest. But as I am clearing this pack, I suddenly see someone close in on me on a mount. It's a Frost user. And because I don't know how many people they are, whether they have dismounted people whatsoever, I just mount up straight away to scout around. And I see one person dismounted here. And I also saw someone at the bottom left of my screen. And because I am in a cheap set and I like to mess around with people, I just start attacking this guy in the hope that the other person, the Frost east of me, will dismount as well. And I'll have some PvP action, basically. Unfortunately, no PvP action whatsoever, so I just return to the camp and I continue clearing it. I'm almost done with it. And one thing I do need to keep in mind is that the Frost user had an invis spot, and Frost has a lot of CC, so most likely the Frost user is planning on catching me off guard with his invis spot and hit me whenever I'm low. So I have to be very careful of not getting too low whilst clearing and have my mount up. And as I finish the camp, I head towards the chest. And the first chest we get is uncommon, which gives me about 84k, 85k, which basically covers my entire set. And as you can see, the Frost is dismounted here, so he was planning on doing exactly what I said, which is sneak up on you with invis tools and hit you when you are low. Then I go to the next zone, and as I head towards one of the solo camps, I see the Smuggler content, the Captive. And I personally always kill these ones because they can make for some really good drops. I've had some drops worth millions from these guys, and I know from a guildie that he once had an 8.4 drop. So I never skip these guys. I always kill them. They make for some good fame, a decent amount of silver for the time it takes to kill them. They make for some favor, especially when you release the Captive, you get some good favor. And also, yeah, you have that chance. You get standing too, which is important, but you also have that chance on big loot. So I never skip these ones, and I recommend you don't either. At this point, there is about a minute left for the medium chest, and I make sure to swap to the abilities that will give me the best odds of surviving and dueling at the same time, in case it's me against this guy here. And you have to keep an eye on the number of players in the zone, which is 16 to 30. So there are definitely people here, and it's very likely they are around the chest. As you can read in chat, this fella Desmond is very angry, although I didn't say anything to him. He went full aggro for no apparent reason, but it's a pretty common occurrence in Albion. And then as I scout around, I see the Incube maze, which most likely is with Blazing. So they're trying to bomb people on the chest, which is why it's very wise to keep your distance and not be too greedy. And as I scout around, I see another group close in from the northwest very soon here, which is a much larger group, which is doing exactly the same from the other side, which is close in on people that are waiting on top of the chest. So just scout around the objective until you are very sure it's free, or you can duel whoever you want to contest. And here I actually dodge this guy coming out of Invis, which shows that it's really important you keep moving on your horse and you never stand still. Here I'm just countering with one line, often the most effective, and just doing my part to, to keep the community safe. So yeah, if you run into these people, I don't know if reporting actually helps. I don't even know, I don't even know what to write here, man. Foul language. I think that's okay. I'm not sure. Do you guys ever experience something out of reports? Because I never had, so... But yeah, I hope it does something. After our little situation with little Desmond, I go back to one of the camps, or I continue my journey with one of the camps. And I actually saw some people, so I stay on Frost Shot on my W, so I have some mobility. And as I am about to start, they come back in screen. And I check their gear, and I actually feel like I can win this 1v2. I have a decent shot at winning, I feel like. So I dismount, and I make clear I want to fight them. However, they don't want to fight, so they just keep hopping back in and out of my screen, and they don't want to do the 2v1, so no reason to force it, because before you know, they have a lot more people, and I know for a fact that I am solo, so I don't push it too much, although I do try to make clear I want to get some 1v2 action going here. Now at this point, I'm pretty sure there are only 2 people, and there are a couple solo players around as well. So I just clear the camp without aggroing too many mobs. And I make sure to keep my mount close to me, so that if I get jumped, I can just mount up straight away and get to safety. And it's very important you take as little damage as possible while you are clearing these camps. And I will even say that if you want to play safe, the best thing to do is just leave the camp entirely and either go to a different camp or a different zone. However, I like to take risks and throw myself at dangerous and impossible situations. So I just continue clearing like this as I have people hovering around me. Now at this point, a lot more people start showing up at the camp, and even someone that's overcharged, which gives me the idea that he's ready to fight. So I just dip from the camp and I just scout around to see what's going on. Like here you have another person that looks like a ganker, which belongs to a small skill group. And as I roam around, I indeed confirm there is a group heading towards the camp. Like they wouldn't, most likely, probably, they wouldn't be going to the camp specifically and they have a different objective in mind. But the first guy could have been a part of their group, and why would they ignore free kills? So now as I head back to the camp, I actually hear someone engaged in combat. So I quickly dismount and I catch this guy who doesn't make it to his mount, unfortunate for him. However, he still fights back and actually does a lot of damage, so I have to be careful of that. I have to respect that. And here he pops his invis pot. Unfortunately, he gets hit by my Q and W, which immediately reveals him. So I get a fairly easy kill, which nets me 364k. And just to showcase what the kill was like, here you have the kill board. After the kill, I just go back to the camp to finish it, and I get a green chest, which means I'll get some fame tomes, some fame books, which are always welcome. Lots of things I still need to level, just like this bow, basically. So as I finish the camp, I see someone new at the camp who's dismounted, and I inspect him to see what he has. And I feel like, now this guy has high specs, right? And he is a battle axe user, so that's gonna be tough. Because once he gets close to me, I'm pretty screwed. But I like challenges, and although I have quite some money on me at this point, right, compared to what my build is worth, I take on this challenge. And I take my Q here to slow him, so that if he comes close to me, I have a bit of slow. I have mobility on my W. And just like that, you can see how tanky and how much sustain this guy has. Just heals back up with his second Q there. And at this point, I pretty much realized that I'm in a bad state because I don't even have my Resi pot anymore. I equipped the Invis pot instead. I only had 1 or 2 pots with me when I started this, so I just do the wise thing, which is to disengage and mount up here. After further resetting, I try to redeem myself. I go for a second round with this guy. I change my Q to poison instead of slow. And I changed my boots to healing sprint instead of the demon boots unique ability. So I have a bit more sustain with my new setup. And I obviously, as you can see, try to do a better job at kiting, but Battle Axe just has a lot of mobility. He even purges my rush here. But as you can see, it goes much better this time, although it's still very tough. Here he uses his assassin jacket, because if it was Invis pot, he would have been revealed by the poison. So, as you can see, he tries to run away. Now, I don't want to use my W to close in on him, because if I do that, he can fully turn on me, and I won't have any escapes. So, definitely not use the W offensively here, and just keep it for defensive purposes. Now, at this state, he most likely has a lot of his cooldowns back up already. My jacket is still 10 seconds on cooldown. And since my boots are almost up, I can use the W to get closer to him. Now, this is a very risky move by me here. And because I noticed that, because I realized like, oh shit, both my W and my boots are on cooldown, I make sure to not get too close to him. As my sprints are on cooldown, ideal moment to pop my Hunter Hood. to get some of that resistance bonus whilst reflecting some damage back at him. And as I noticed, there is an arcane staff coming to us mounted. I just quickly disengage because this just means there is a lot more people close to us, which pretty much gets confirmed a couple seconds later. As you can see, more people show up on the screen. After a few minutes, there is a blob on the map, so I move towards it and I see there is a point for note and one of the gatherers is on it. Now, since the blob isn't too far away, I need to be careful here as I go about bullying this gatherer. Because I just like to mess around with people, especially when I'm in like low sets. I just like to, you know, be annoying basically, just have some silly fun. And that's exactly what I did here. We even engaged the Cobra, which added to the chaos. Then on my way back to content, I saw some dead bodies from their fight. So I just checked them out, just in case there is some loot in it. You never know. And then again, a couple minutes later, in the map. And this zone proved to be pretty lucrative and active. So I played in it for quite some time. But there was a small chest and there was a dismounted person on it. It was a bat and bow. And although he had like 200 IP on me, it's definitely a fight I just want to take because I just like taking all fights basically. So I dismount far away from him, pop my hunter hood as soon as he uses his E, or even before that, because I already know that he's gonna, you know, engage with his E basically. And we're both on poison, so him having 200 IP on top of me, that's not the best trade for me, but we need to keep the pressure up. And then he is on the Frost Shot W, meaning he has a slow mobility, and I'm on Ray of Light, which means I have extra CC and extra damage on my W. And then, of course, you have the difference in all the other parts. But then we spot someone who seems pretty juicy. It's a carving sword that's dragging one of those cores. And although my opponent here wants to team up against that other person, I know that that other person is simply gone, you know. So there is no point chasing that person. So I just continue to fight with this one. And yeah, it's a green chest, so it's probably got nothing important. But to bait him in, I just hover around the chest. Here he uses his assassin jacket. I try my W here, which is a mistake because, you know, there's a very small chance I'm going to hit it. I should have popped my W instantly if I wanted to, you know, actually hit him. And as he pops his E, I always counter with my Hunter Hood, making me a bit more tanky, reflecting some of the damage he does back at him. And then, yeah, just go back and forth to basically pull him in, because he has more mobility, so it's going to be difficult to chase him down. I heal back up with my mercenary jacket. The slow is very nasty. I need to be a bit more careful of that. Here his undead cape procs. And he just used his W while invis. And this is the moment I get the kill on him. I do miss a couple spells here, but you know, I got the kill, which nets me 861k, which brings my total loot to about 1.4 million so far. Which, you know, having only a 100k set, that's a lot of money, a lot of profit. And then I head back to the chest, but the chest is gone already. Someone must have looted it whilst we were busy fighting. But that's okay. It was just a green chest, so... So it happens that we have a Terry here, so I just go there to a safe place. And the journey back costs 110k. And my save portal is a couple zones over, or actually at least 3 zones over if I go through a tunnel. And I don't want to take that risk, you know, it's a lot of time to travel back as well. I can get ganked, and 110k compared to the 1.4 million profit I made is nothing, you know. So I take the safe option here, and I just journey back to secure my first set of items, set of gains, and bank that in for the session. You know, a very good start to my roam today, basically. And so far, I've roamed for about 1 hour. I feel like I had a lot of action, a lot of fun. I made some fame, some silver, and quite some loot. After taking a break, I stack up on food and pots again, and I take the save portal again to go out into the Outlands. This time I end up in one of the frosty areas, one of the ice biomes. And again, I check out what's around me, the zones around me, whether there are any objectives around me. When there are things like small chests, medium chests, large chests, I always head towards them. Although I'm solo, you know, sometimes there's only 1 or 2 players on it. Sometimes it's completely free, so it's always worth checking them out if you ask me. These are the type of things that make for, you know, interaction with other players and a profit as well. So I always check that out. I set my abilities to the ones I feel like will serve me the best right now. And after checking out this camp, which turns out to be empty, I walk a bit further and then I find a wisp, a blue wisp, which has a chance to take me to tier 7 or even tier 8 mist area. So I go in because inside of that I can find rare mobs that can make for juicy artifacts. However, I'm unlucky this time and I get into a regular mist, although it was blue. Since I'm inside anyway, I'll just see what's up here. As I head towards one of the camps, I see a circle boss, so I quickly kill it because they always make for some good fame, good silver, and you have chance to get good loot as well. As I am clearing the camp, a mysterious stranger makes his way towards me. So it turns out to be a spear user, and I just start engaging combat, basically. He pops his Inferno shield. I pop my shield, my helmet, and I do a lot of damage back at myself here. I don't kite well either. I pop my demon boots way too early here. So I make a lot of mistakes back to back, and I get punished pretty badly for it. Because he just gets a lot of free damage on me, and I can't keep my range from him properly. As we are fighting, another mysterious stranger comes with on his mount. And here, like, I know I can get away. However, I forget I have poison on him and his Inferno shield. As I escape, it reflects my poison tick back at me. I was so sure I was getting away, but I completely forgot about that poison tick, which punishes me very hard, making for my first death this session. And just for good order, here is the kill board. Now at this point, I have that itch to do some mists, you know? And I take on the duel with anyone, basically. So I take on this fight with this Baron, which has 400 IP on top of me. You can see from the HP difference alone, he has 1k on top of me. It's something you will never win, but, you know, I'm in a cheap set. I like to take on challenges. And it doesn't matter anyway, because I just get read by this blood letter anyway. And for good order, here is the kill board once more. I go back into the mist because obviously I haven't learned my lesson. I clear a camp, I get a blue chest, and from this blue chest, I actually get 276k, which basically covers both my deaths so far. Did I die twice or 3 times so far? I think twice. But yeah, I mean, just one chest can cover multiple deaths, you know, and it doesn't even have to be a purple or a legendary. I basically do the wise thing here, which is to bring this loot back to safety to cover my losses. Back into the mists I go, and I clear a small camp this time. I get the green chests, which means I get tomes. And then another blue chest, which only nets me about 30k this time. 31.5 to be exact. And then I feel like inting again, so I take on this fight with this near 1.6k IP Daybreaker. Like, I'm at what, 1k? 1.1 maybe? And I just screw up from the start. I'm pretty much dead here already. But, you know, I do my best at surviving. It's that Albion player instinct, you know? I pop my bloodlust here to regain some health, which feels very futile, honestly. You know, if you are perfect at kiting, maybe then you can win this. If you are like a crazy 10-year experience bow user. But I mean, Daybreaker has a lot of mobility. So, especially with this helmet, I didn't even inspect him properly. Like, this helmet just makes it impossible for me to win against him. As I think I have, you know, this little chance, this wonder chance of escaping with my W here. I actually dodge his helmet too. I'm about to pop my boots and I get hit by his W Impaler, which gets the kill on me. And as always, for good order, let's check the kill board once more. And back into the mists again. As I clear, this other regular bow user closes in on me. My chest just procced, so I want to get my tomes. And as I grab them, he dismounts on top of me. He has cooldown for a couple seconds so I can get some initial damage on him. He pops his hunter hood, so do I. And, you know, he has 300 IP on top of me, so that's, you know, some things are just impossible, you can say. Like, it doesn't even come down to a skill difference anymore. If you have both pretty much the same build and the other person has 300 IP on top of you, it means they have 30% more defenses, 30% more health, more damage, you know. It's a huge difference. And especially with something like a regular bow, which is all about, well, it's not all about, but primarily about auto attacks. You are going to lose that fight based on statistics alone. Then there is a small chest that just popped, which was already on the map whilst I was fighting the bow. So I make my way to it. And there are quite some people on it. I just checked the chest, but as I want to check it, this dual sword dismounts and starts the fight with me. Uses everything on my hunter hood, basically. And although, you know, he tries, there is no way he's going to win this. It's not much, but it's 113k, which pretty much covers another set of mine, so it's very welcome. And for good order, again, the kill board. Although it's not much, it does cover one of my deaths, so I quickly bank this loot as well. And then back into the mists I go, where I spot this fella who's trying to clear a camp. A frost user this time. Thanks to my high mobility and my poison, I managed to dismount him. And he does quite some damage actually. I was very surprised at how much damage this weapon does because he is on a very low tier. But so am I, to be fair. As I'm lower than him here and my cooldowns are pretty high, I just run away a little to pull him in as well. I don't want to be on the chase all the time. But I do have a lot of damage as well, so with the poison here, I simply secure the kill on him. And that's another 60k. Now I like taking impossible fights, but then I see this guy and this is just something beyond impossible, so I fully skip altogether. I don't think you can blame me. After my falsely gained confidence in being better than Frost users after clapping that little guy, I now take on the fight with a Frost user that has 300 IP on top of me. And although I do start off pretty well, the difference in IP, but also skill and everything else, becomes clear pretty fast. I definitely get hit by a lot more than I should have if I want to win this fight. But that's not even the worst mistake, as the actual big mistake is happening right now as I corner myself right here where he uses his E and kills me. Now, it's been a lot of fun doing mists, but I feel like my addiction has come to an end, so I buy another set. And this time, I go out into the open world again by taking the safe portal. I end up in Giant World Copse, which is close to the rest, and continue my journey. As I'm roaming around, I find one of the solo or single crates. And these are always good to do, especially if they're very close to the objective. Because they make for some quick bucks. They can make for a lot of favor, which basically translates to silver. And dragging this blue one here nets me about 2,000, I believe. I'm not entirely sure. Let's see how much it nets. It nets me, yeah, about 2,200, which kind of translates to about 200k silver. Now, as I'm clearing a camp, a solo camp, I chase down this guy who makes a big mistake. He walks into a dead corner of the map, which guarantees the dismount for me. So I just chase him down. I could have mounted up and dismounted on top of him, but I knew I had enough mobility to catch up. He decides not to fight back, and he uses Invispot, but he has my poison ticking. My Q is ticking, so it reveals him as he takes damage. He does a desperate attempt of trying to mount up, but the guards of the territory get him. So always be cautious of your environment, basically. Like I said before, always kill the captives and free the smugglers. It's good fame, good silver, good favor. And you can get some big drops. I clear this camp. I get a blue chest. And from this blue chest, I get another 288k, which is a lot. As I'm roaming around in the zone, I find one of these solo boss lair scrolls. You basically kill the mobs around it, and then you can pop the map and see where the dungeon entrance is. And you always want to pick these ones. These are amazing. They make for some really good silver, or can make for some really good silver. I wait there. I spot another wave of capturers, which I kill again. Now, once at the solo boss lair, when it's a blue one, I always immediately do it without waiting for the timer, because you easily clear it before it even hits the timer. But this one was actually a purple, and you can see that by the size of the chest already, and also the layout of the map. There are a lot of gold coins here, and they are always either a blue, purple, or a legendary, although legendary is super rare. And since it is a purple, I decide to wait out the 90-second timer. So I simply wait here, make sure no one else enters for 90 seconds, so that I don't get jumped while I do the boss. Once 90 seconds are over, you get this message, and no one else will be able to enter the dungeon any longer, so you can clear the boss in a safe way without worrying about PvP risk whatsoever. It's always smart to swap to full PvE skills, so I have my shield on my helmet, I have sustain on my boots, although you can also go for dodge roll. I know for a fact this boss spins and does a lot of damage, and you want to get away with that, so having some sustain on your boots with a good rush is better for this boss, I feel like. And also on your weapon, just take full PvE skills. You have no risk of getting dived whatsoever. There we go, we have a purple chest. Let's see what's inside. I forgot already. 168k. Not the biggest chest, but you know, it's extra silver. It counts. And at this point I have about 500k in my inventory. So I swap to escape skills so that once I get out, I can return to my save portal and secure everything. And we're sitting on about 2 million already. And again, I take the save portal after restocking my food and potions. And this time I actually have quite some objectives on the map already. We have a small treasure chest in 1.5 minutes. We have a smuggler's crate. And as always, I check and see where exactly I am on the world map. As the small treasure chest is about to pop, I make sure to scout around, because you never know if people are going to come in dismounted. So you shouldn't wait on the chests for too long. Just go there when it's about to pop. It's a green one. It's got about 200k, 179k to be exact. So that's easy free money. And there is a smuggler crate right next to it, with a single crate in it, a purple one, which is going to give me a lot of rewards once more. And lucky for me, again, it's very close to the drop point. And this time I expect about 2.8k, 3k actually, 3k favor, which translates to about 300k silver, which is a lot. Quickly grab the chest, and let's not forget, you cannot drop it anyway. And here is perhaps the most exciting part of this video. I run towards the smuggler crate on the map, and I see this guy pulling blue crate. Now he has some IP on top of me, about 200 IP on top of me. And his set is worth 2 million silver. That's a lot. That's 20 times my set. So this is definitely a fight I want to take. And since it's a one-handed dagger, I have pretty good odds. I'm pretty confident about this one. I will say though, this was very exciting. Heart rate definitely went up here. Pop my hunter hood to reflect some of the damage back at him. This W was very risky because I wanted to get away from him so he cannot heal, but I did increase the distance between us, so I was very afraid he was getting away here. But you know, both you and I know I'm super good, so I close in, pop that poison, pop the W so he doesn't get any healing, pop the resi pot to make sure I don't take too much damage, and 1.8 million. A super lucrative kill here. Luckily, his mount didn't trash because he was gathering and he had a lot of resources, so I could equip his mount and carry all the loot I just gained. As I head towards the safe portal, I see this treasure coffer. Why not grab it? It's free. It's green. And it makes for an additional 22k. I'm not sure if that was worth the risk, to be honest. Once at the safe portal, just spam click on it, you know, that reduces the cooldown. I'm just joking, of course. I'm actually waiting on my outlaw, that's why I cannot take it. But once my outlaw is over, I can go back to the city and secure all of this loot, which brings my total up to about 4 million. Make sure to change mounts again. I don't want to go out on a moose. But yeah, I'm sitting on about 4 million now. And after securing the loot, just stack up on pots and food again. Go out with the safe portal once more. This is actually the last time I take a safe portal for this session. And this time I end up in Glacier Break Summit, which is a tier 6 zone. And it's quality 1. It's outer ring, meaning lower quality, which means that the fame, loot, drops, everything here is going to be very low. As I'm clearing this camp here, I suddenly get walked up on by a cursed user, which is pretty typical. And I check his gear, and he has very low IP. Well, I'm talking as if I'm walking around in a lot of IP, but he has low IP just like me. So I let him dismount me basically and take the fight, which makes me feel pretty weird, I suppose, because he's playing very weird. And at this point I start feeling sorry because I feel like he's a new player. Like, he even kills that little rabbit for no apparent reason. He procs his E without having any stacks on me. I'm like, oh man, I'm killing a completely new beginner. I start feeling guilty. A moment of silence here. Loot up the 63k he drops. And on my mind, I'm just wondering, like, what was that? Should I DM him and give him some silver before he quits? And I check his stats. Actually, he has 502 total fame, which, you know, doesn't make any sense and just leaves me confused.
They are coming for me.
As you can see, the loot in this zone is pretty underwhelming. The quality of the zone, the tier of the zone really does matter. And although it's very RNG, I'm not a fan of quality 1 zones that much. But they do make for some pretty safe farming and grinding, as you can see, because it doesn't really attract end game type of players and gankers. As I'm moving towards my safe portal, I see one more wall scroll, so I quickly grab that one too. Which makes for another blue chest, which gives me another 53k or 52k silver, which isn't much, but if you look at the cost of my set, that's about half my set, so... And although this zone was only quality 1 and tier 6, it did give me close to 400k silver, which adds up. And after clearing the map entirely, it's time to move to the save portal to bring this session to an end and also secure our last chunk of loot, of course, bringing the total in this bank tab to about 4.3 million. We also had about 400k silver in the bank tab in Brazilian. That makes it 4.7 million. And then I also had about 6k favor, I believe, or maybe slightly more, which also translates to about 600-700k, so well over 5 million silver. And that in only about 3 hours of gameplay, where I had a lot of fun, by the way. I also got a ton of fame throughout the session. I actually leveled my bow with another 10 levels, getting me closer to 100. If you deduct the amount of times I died, the few times, I still sit around 5 million silver, which is very nice money if you ask me with the set I'm wearing. I'm wearing a set that's worth only 100k silver. It's very affordable and I can take all the risks in the world and it won't hurt my economy or anyone's economy basically. So if you want to play this build for yourself, it goes well with almost any weapon. Check out my guide, I will link it down below, where you will learn everything you need to know about this build. Also, if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to give it a like and let me know in the comments what you liked about this video and whether you want to see more of these types of videos on my channel. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next guide. Until then, fight smart and loot well.